had a dog named Grace and loved his black and white awkwardness. We used to laugh at his tiny dancing brain. That's a good dog. He'd come when we called him Space or Grace. Under the soft coat of dog, we rubbed his basic lanolin and smelled our hands with thanks. And one day, October whistled into all our houses and took over. Summer thistles blew and changed and acted like bees in their first cold rage. We found Grace under ice when the pond was stiff, its tail frozen in the wind, his eyes wild and lonely for us, like the little girl scurrying home from school past our house as apple leaves whirled around her, as the wind smelled all different for the first time, and there, in a quick lonely chill, she danced home. So I want to thank you all for coming out and listening tonight. And guys, I want to thank Phil and Annie and Cal for getting me out of the house. People who know me well know that I'm solitudinous by nature, and I'm an avid indoorsman. It's sort of like AA meetings. Hello, my name is Lee Bassett, and I am a porch sitter who is content in the daily practice of writing poems. But it's truly, truly wonderful to be here reading alongside Cal Kinnear. I consider myself to be his warm-up act tonight, his backup singer. I think you're all in for a real treat a little bit later. In the Arctic Lapland, there's a tribe called the Sami. They have a wonderful creation myth, which I will share with you. The God who made all things took the beating heart of a 2-year-old reindeer and put it at the center of the earth. The rhythm of this heart is the rhythm of the world, the pulse of life, the source of all being. When times are difficult, the Sami people have only to press their ears to the ground and listen. If they hear the beat of the reindeer's heart, all will be well, and they will emerge from the hard time. In my own genuine poetic voyage, my poetic commitment, it seems that I'm required to pay attention to this rhythm of the heart. Through archipelagos of images and a cadence of sonic vitality, my job is to try and be the bearer of liminal spaces. Liminal means threshold, of course, a place of transition, waiting, and not knowing. I consider this to be a spiritual, receptive place. It's when you have left the tried and true, but you haven't quite been able to figure out how to replace it. Think of light between sunset and night. Think of the time between sleep and waking, or the days between seasons. Liminal is the in-between space. This is where a dead dog frozen in ice resides. This is where the beating of a reindeer heart lives under the earth. This is where, as a boy in Ohio years ago, a great horned owl brushed a silent wing across my face. This is what I'm after in my work. These sensory thresholds, these ground occasions, this sacred liminal space. I'm going to read the whole poem now, but I want to start by telling you a little bit about the pattern of the form. I think it'll help. Each section starts with a little prose poem where I mention some sort of natural history or biology about owls. Then next there are some tidbits of folklore about owls. And then there are 2 personal poems about personal owls, which I've invented. And lastly, there's a triptych of seasonal poems concerning the famous Chinese painter, Ma Yuan. So I'll read the whole poem now. That way you won't have to buy it. Soft sound and elegant, all in it, beginnings of dusk. Owl time is measured by clock of light and dark. Those big ears and curved reflector-like husks behind, like a young girl cupping her hands to hear a whisper. Hushing air, in flight, the owl drifts down against dark night of grass, her ears taking snapshots of invisible animals, sound located and caught, squeaks of prey, footsteps of beetles, the taunt heartbeat of a mouse. This is called the hidden corner of things. For Native Americans, eating the eyes of an owl helps vision at night. In Morocco, owls embody the spirit of a woman. Germans were known to rush headlong into battle, hooting like owls. In Bologna, Italy, the empty owl lives quietly in chestnut groves and cemeteries. She glides smooth, her eyes a dark, deep orange. Everything depends on truth in the heart and the plenitude of voles. This drama also mattered to Giorgio Morandi. For most days, he painted only his best friends, mundane vases, bottles, common pitchers, bowls, and a river of gray dust over everything. He waited for crackling dialogues between them, wordless mutterings, loud contemplations, and always a subtle toll of commotion. As for us, looking on, we also feel a bottle intensity, a slight disquiet, remarkable and sad, coming from inside the rust-like essence of bottles. The empty owl and Morandi both hunt in the same way. What do the deep eyes of your heart think? In bumpy rain, inside travel time, a man boarded a plane, and the captain said, "We shall take off for warmer places." They closed the wintry door. The plane groaned and bounced before rising, and the man was pleased with the empty seat next to him. Then quietly, she pounced. She was the last one on the plane and quickly slipped into the seat, where her body fell asleep on his arm. It was easy to announce she was a honey owl from Costa Rica, the chestnut kind, the bewitching kind. She was the one who knew that a first time can also be the last time. Flying all night, her reddish-brown facial disc looked tired, and the black horn-colored claws twitched in her dreaming. This is the brisk moving power of a pretty girl over men. Winter, spring. Cold and snap branches, loud snowy wind creaks a door, flint freeze, winter hanging on. Ma Yuan wonders as he paints, is the cold river water in the tiny goldfish bowl killing the fish? And will his brushes freeze up dead? Fisherman on a winter river. That's the name of the painting. Fisherman on a winter river. The painting's boat drifts free into nothing. Rod, reed, man in a skiff, no land, no bird, and no companion in the cold, wet river snow. Suddenly, fog meandering into the dawn. The mist smell touches Ma Yuan's nose first, then hangs onto his whole body. Fog has many unanswered questions, as it comes from a pure season hidden between two seasons. When Ma Yuan paints exquisite fog on silk, the invisible girl appears inside. And she comes along in a change of breeze. A restoring sun weaves in and out with its welcome warmth, rustling up tilled black earth and the smell of hope. Spring arrives, announcing in the carnival mud and rebel laughter of disorder. Greens shoot madness, carnival fools in trees, shirts turned inside out, revelers and priests dancing with goats. Unbutton me, touching my breast as a gateway drug. Masks, liquid and tipsy, more real than a face at breakfast. Masks are like fog, and if spring chooses not to wear one, everybody will be confused. Everybody will run away. Ma Yuan carefully prepares his black inks and animal brushes. Timeless, he plugs up the hourglass with mud and paints. Ma Yuan loves all the heaven and earth with his brushes, He carries springtime inside him. The ravine spirit never dies. He mixes ink colors by looking at rain-glossed leaves or the slippery hues reflected off the torn clothing of the shining poor on Blue Sparrow Ridge. Promises in the world of men are untidy. Many families go hungry. Spring is unfinished and therefore beautiful. The leaves are more beautiful before they begin. Fog is the fresh white shirt of the invisible girl. Mist is the forest hermit, longing in sympathy for a new season. Fog is the invisible girl, changing into a sudden owl, with her recluse integrity and her intelligent claws out front. In gray half-light, dusk, pink evening moving into night, owls call across a cobwebby fog. They waver softly down into a ravine. What is fog? Does it trick us into mistaking one thing for another? Or does it offer a soft cocoon, helping us to understand things for the first time? Owls' famous large eyes, immobile and forward-facing, they rotate binocular, logging land for any restlessness. Soon, a west breeze will blow the fog away, and a yellow flame will burn in her fierce, fierce eyes. This is called becoming one with the moment. Whenever Greeks were in battle, a flock of owls would swoop down on the Persians, causing confusion and fear. In Norway, if you put the heart of an owl on a chest of a woman, she will wake and reveal her deepest secrets, including her infidelities. In Italy, nailing a dead owl to a barn door will avert storms. In 1937, at the Paris World's Fair, we were all there in the Spanish pavilion to review the great work. Warplanes mobilized fresh in Picasso's head. Just like an etcher's owl rolling through a loud empire of war, the artist was wise enough to leave out bombs and airplanes. Only this, what happens to flesh. The tinder town itself, wiped away, April 26th, Monday market day, Italian and German bombers from the Bay of Biscay roared straight up the mesh of Uradirbai estuary. 24 planes mired in a noisy doctrine of terror, and the bomb mix, prefixed, was perfect. Blast, splinter, fire. Only what arises from a body's flame, only what happens to flesh. Poorly, the lame, the sick, the dying, a tired nurse in the fog of hospital tries all the new medicines for a broken body. The soldier lies in and out of pain, cherished faces fade out remote, and he slides rough into jagged sleep. What could be more holy, she says to herself, than our vulnerability, she says, our beautiful, bedridden loneliness. And this time, I will visit you as the siren owl, with my moon-shaped face in the rain. I am stamped on Grecian coins, Roman vases. I am etched on Byzantine sculpture and Renaissance silverware. And tonight, I am here to tell you that you will not die tonight. Slowly, she mounts him under a plain blanket, straddling her rounded wings, and she offers his bent body her one-time lyrical gift, the warmth and erotic restlessness needed for new life. Spring, summer. Today, Ma Yuan inks for the pleasure of Empress Yang. In younger days, in bloom, in the grass-green eyes of spring, he lived in the enriched poverty of a woodland hermit. Endless mountains and rivers, away from the cloud of craving, the mind clarified with a cup of wine. Ma Yuan's hand respects the emotion of trees. His wash blurs mountain peaks in a childlike heart fog, in the intensity of his brush, loaded with warm black. The mind will be clarified with a cup of wine and laughter. He watches the sun fly away from a window. Soon enough, an owl will brush a silent wing across his face and whip straight down into a wild lavender field. Soon enough, cherry flowers will anchor to the wonder of fall. The ravine spirit never dies. Ma Yuan makes a springtime scroll, banquet by lantern light. Flowering plums, dark thickets of bamboo, a grand palace in golden glow. Tall pine trees gesture up in warm damp air, suggesting a benediction of rain near Blue Sparrow Bridge. Looking through the door of the palace, the banquet hall is out of view. We see no people, no banquet. Ma Yuan's dark implicit brush infers a feast and good cheer. Brother ink, brother heart. Growing and withering, humans are so small. On the terrace, hidden behind plum blossoms, slender women dance and make music. Inside, in ceremony, a new bride and a new groom will be like the world's valley and the world's river before the season runs away. Spring ambles into a vast lawn of summer. Mountains sizzle in claws of heat. Dawn suddenly moves in before anyone can sleep. Lovers look up through an open door. Yellow roses are awake in cool morning air. Rich or poor, summer is the best time for illicit love. Lazy lovers cradled together, forehead to forehead, whispering into eyes. Ma Yuan, in his youth, loved to help women feel good about themselves and rise. Now he paints from the 10,000 things. Lovers parting in summer is only one of them. His brush is an owl who remembers a song of waiting. This is not the waiting which comes from thoughts. Well, the owl waits for a mouse. This is the waiting which comes from quiet. In a wooded ravine, an hour before sunset, underbrush blooms dark purple, then fades into black. Dim lights of first stars hover. The valley convenes a last heavy breath in afterglow. This is when we sense the unseen grace of a night owl on rounded wings. Inner veins of flight feathers, like fringe on a scarf, efficient and dampened. She smolders, her weapons flashing over the night. She grows closer, bigger, whiter than curved hooks. More faint than a whisper, wonder to wonder, dark dignity in a sudden surprise. This is called active worship in a heavenly night. In Egypt, the sight of an owl means you will soon die. In Wales, if a young woman hears the call of an owl, she is sure to lose her virginity. Throughout China, it is believed that owls can snatch your soul away. In a famous deep felt lecture on the Book of Changes, the elegant owl morphs into a geisha. And like all good rosebud geishas, she has been carefully taught. Emotion is movement, a flood, and beauty is a disturbance. Pour the warm, drowsy wine for him. Serve more wine, drowsy wine, and pretend to protect all paying clients from hardship and suffering. By profession, she is a creature of prey, passing through the night. The hunt is not vicious or quick, or so it seems, so they make it feel. Sway and pour the swaying wine, which floats calmly and fills the blood with soft contentment and a faint sense of ecstasy, and a foolish human desire for the illusion of love. And now, the lecture on permanence is over. With a ghosting flap of wings, the snowy white Alzheimer's owl is not lost, only a bit gooey in fog today, as she lands perfectly on a sleeping human body. Inside our houses, someone new is here, someone we once knew, now rearranged and rising. Reasoning gone, judgment and planning dead, big sky confusion, completely lost in a room, now flying away along a smoky smokeway. A smart bell rings, imagined or not, a homecoming bell, It is the evening bell of things coming apart and things within coming back to stay again. The owl and the bell's nourishing echo dart through the sky above a town and then along a tossed river. Long after the echo vanishes, a sensation remains in the heart. Autumn, winter. This road down into a scarlet maple ravine, this road is the way. Ma Yuan's road is in the black tip of his brush. Every road begins with a door. Autumn is a door of wet wind gales, whipping leaves, and the greatest of all sounds, thunder and wind. Autumn innocence in the stillness of fog, autumn passion in the swift movement of bright yellow leaves floating under Blue Sparrow Bridge. Coming home from field work, the splendid sadness of the indigenous poor. Granaries full, many bellies half full. Small houses shiver in the cold and have nothing. And like chiseled autumn, the road of not having nourishes the eroding world, giving it a bounty. Fluxy October, fleeting movements of a floating wrist. Ma Yuan, free spirit paints, is drinking in the moonlight. At a stone table, a poet interrupts his calligraphy and gazes in ink distance at the ochre harvest moon. The painting looms and becomes the poem. He raises his wine cup in solitary companionship and toasts the half-hidden moon, his friend, and who leaks through the imposing cliffs of sky. In pale tones, beyond the writing table, a cave-like path angles up ravine towards the moon. Knotted plum burrows and rugged rocks cannot block the one sudden moment of wine inspiration. And when the moon has moved on, Ma Yuan walks up the path he paints. In the reckless flight of swallows, in the late of the year, a rocky beach blossoms up cold. In luminous mist, the invisible girl watches a lone fisherman brave the awe of weather and drift home. Mournful geese, bright, brilliant, fading. Across the mountain peaks and fog, seasons run toward each other. A darkening long sky asks the eye to grasp what we cannot see. Winter soon, winter soon. Autumn running down, and the exquisite invisible girl hunts between rocks for owl feathers. Look, she finds many. When she picks one up, it shines in her palm. Next spring, with the coming of new carnival mud softening, she will present them as gifts. The ravine spirit never dies. Owls hunt their prey in poor light, pouncing on the correct spot. Then they feast, knowing how to stay hidden in dark places. They talk in the dead of night, shrieks, squawks, whistles. Like so many of our gods, owls are strange and beyond the reach of human understanding. Unseen calls suddenly travel buoyantly in the broad night world. Next spring, she will lay chalk-white eggs in the nest of another bird, and the young, with no eyes or ears, will be hungry, and will cry out across the dark grange. This is called the beautiful nothingness in their claws. In Yorkshire, England, owl soup will cure whooping cough. In Spain, if you keep an owl near a sick child's cradle, it will ward off all evil spirits. In Russia, if you put an owl feather under your pillow, you will sleep peacefully. The Wetmouse Owl perches on the sky end of a totem pole. Up there, her inner lamp of tenderness shines on the world of men. Everybody builds their own tall religion. Respect is the dragonfly on the top, forever changing life. Respect is the bear in the middle, for humility and strength. Respect is the woman at the base, who cradles a child in arms of nobility, for motherhood and leadership. Many human beings are not intimate with the good earth. Many human beings cannot let go of cravings, heartbreaks, regrets. The Wetmouse Owl is a mysterious cleft on a totem pole. He who has found her understands that he is a child. After a good evening banquet, the owl will cough up a casting, a wet, gooey, compacted pellet, little bones, corpse and fur, fish scales left behind, tiny claws, and feathers in a tiny coffin, beaks and teeth leave them behind. Soon enough, the glory of darker nights and colder, the clarity and promise of winter, everybody invents their own religion. Thanks very much.